Ron Themistode, FightHype.com, here with Andre Rozier. How you feeling today, man?
What the deal, nephew?
Well, obviously, you were in the corner with Demetrius Andrade. You were one of his coaches. You were helping him the whole training camp. Considering how things played out, man, how surprised were you that, the tide kind of changed fairly quickly?
Well, it caught me by surprise. The first thing that really surprised me was seeing David in the ring. From the time that he weighed in until the time we actually were fighting him, it seemed like it was two Davids compared to one. He looked like he was a cruiserweight. Very big, massive, to tell you the truth. And I said, boy, we're going to have to work. And the first 3 rounds, Boo Boo was initiating, was following the game plan. And in the 4th round, he got caught with a shot that basically disrupted his flow. And he never got it back. And things just became progressively worse for us and better for Benavidez. And we ended up having to call the fight.
What was the game plan heading in, man?
Well, the game plan was simple. Use your jab, keep him off balance, don't stand in front of him, keep turning him, and work to the body on the turns. That was the game plan.
It seemed like everything was going beautifully, man. That first round, take it easy. You're good. Good.
Demetrius!
Glad to see you, Coach.
I'm glad I'm back. I'll see you tomorrow. All right.
Take it easy.
Tomorrow's spot, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Thanks.
Be good, brother. It seemed like those first 3 rounds, everything was going smoothly. That first round especially, man, he looked incredible, man. Just, did the power, surprise you guys? Like, the one-shot power surprise you?
Well, I think at the moment, the shot that disrupted his flow really threw him off direction, and he couldn't get back on it. He wasn't moving like he did originally, which was picture perfect, beautiful. He was following the lines of direction that we set up in training camp to a T. But that's the thing with a major fight. You have to keep the consistency no matter what happens.
Did you still, even though he got dropped in that 4th round, did you expect Boo Boo to kind of turn it on? Because before that, he was 32-0, 2-division champ, 3-time champion, never came close to losing the fight. He has been dropped twice before, but he always gets up and dominates. Did you kind of expect the same thing, or did you feel this is going to be a little different?
Well, I did expect him to get back on track, but I knew this was his super fight. And when you're in a super fight, you have to be ready for a super fight with all things considered. And at that point, David came on like gangbusters. He was throwing combinations and stalking forward, and it just was a lot to deal with at the time. And Boo Boo is a really honest individual. And he said, I can't keep him off of me. And I told him, I said, you gotta keep turning. Don't let him lay on you. Don't be on the ropes. And don't stand there and engage other than using your combos and then move.
And at what round did he say that? What round did he come back to the corner and say, I can't keep him off me?
That was the 5th round.
So from that point when he said that, did it kind of feel like panic was setting in? Like, what was kind of like going through everybody's mind in the corner, man?
Well, for me, because this is the environment that I usually thrive in, I don't get excited. There's no need for excitement. There's no need for anxiety. What you have to do is you have to keep walking it through the same message that you had before. If you make small detail changes, that's fine. But you don't show any anxiety or frustration or lack of direction, because then you're going to lose your fighter completely.
Looking at how his gas tank was, a lot of people are saying that you know, it looked like he started gassing in like the 4th or the 5th round. Would you say it was like a conditioning issue that he was having, or would you say his conditioning was great, but it was just Benavidez was just too much on him, man?
No, I think his conditioning was fantastic. We had a marvelous training camp, marvelous. You couldn't ask for better. I think it was just the force of Benavidez coming and the pressure. And pressure is really, really, he is a machine and a lot to deal with. So I think it came to a boiling point where now we have to really rumble, focus up on boxing, and stay smart.
What did you guys see? What did you guys see at the end of the 6th that made you guys say, you know, we're gonna call this fight off? Just before the end of that round, Benavidez definitely won that round, but Andrade had a nice flurry at the end of it where he caught him with like 2 uppercuts, a left hook, body shots. Benavidez didn't move though.
No, it was, and this is why I love Boo Boo so much. He rose to the occasion, and he tried his very best. I mean, his very best. That was a dazzling display at the end of that one also. In a round where he had so much difficulty, he rose to the occasion. But it wasn't enough when it came to Benavidez.
What do you think is next for Andrade? What do you think should be next for him? He's 35 years old now.
Right. I honestly, I think I'd like to see him make an attempt to go back to 160. I know he can truly dominate. If Lara can come up from 54 at the age of 40 plus and be a world champion, I know Boo Boo can wreck the division.
Is there anybody at 160 in particular that you would like to see him fight? Maybe a Lara, there's Janabek, Carlos Adames.
All of them. Every one of them that you just mentioned.
Got it. In terms of his stock, how do you think this affects his stock? Because for Boo Boo turned pro in 2008, so that's 15 years. For the longest, he couldn't get a big fight, and a lot of people called him the boogeyman. People were avoiding him. He finally gets his big fight 15 years later, and I guess people would say that he didn't perform the way he wanted to. Like, what would you kind of say to those people?
Well, basically, he took one of the baddest guys at the weight class, one of the baddest, aka the monster, and he took it to task. And he dared to be great. He dared in the face of huge obstacle and adversity, and he gave us 6 rounds of excitement.
What would you say is the biggest, what was the most surprising thing about Benavidez?
His tenacity. I saw it firsthand. There were moments where Boo Boo did some really good things, and he basically took it in stride. I think at one point it was one interaction where Boo Boo seemed to give him something to think about, but he just took it in stride.
The next logical thing is Canelo Alvarez for David Benavidez. You just took on David with Demetrius. You've taken on Canelo with Danny Jacobs. Gave him a hell of a fight. So yeah, nobody really knows most of these guys better than you, man. If they were to fight next year, 2024 in May, who would you take in that one?
If they fight in May of 2024, I really have to. I'm gonna have to stick with the guy who's laying the plan down. I have to stick with Canelo. The reason why is the tangibles. The tangibles are his ability to sustain punishment, which was shown in the 2 Golovkin fights by someone who is one of the hardest punchers in boxing, especially in the middleweight division, and someone that can really box. David is a fantastic fighter. His thing is pressure to break you. I think Canelo has so many overall weapons that I would have to side with him in that fight.
That's fair. Canelo, he's probably the bigger puncher overall. But, you know, David is 6 years younger than him, 7 years actually. He's 26, Canelo's 33. And Benavidez had the type of punch output that just nobody could really keep up with.
It's insane.
Like how would Canelo deal with that type of offense coming at him, man?
Well, I think one thing I could tell you for certain is his defense is really, really good. It would be better than good for that fight. He wouldn't allow punches to get in because when he gets his hands up there, it's really hard to hit him. And his counter punching is fantastic, and he can punch. He hurts super middleweights. And one thing, David is a fantastic, aggressive, offensive weapon, but he does have holes in his defense. He seemed pretty tough, but I don't know how tough it would be against somebody that can actually hurt you back. So those are the tangibles, and I just have to side with someone who's been doing it so long. He knows how to do it.
Would you take Canelo to stop him, though?
I don't know about stopping him, but I know he would be touching him enough times to put him in a trouble position.
Going back to Demetrius real quick, I know you said that you want him to go back down to 160. You know, he is 35. You know, just in case if he's just like, hey, you know, I can't make 160 anymore, I want to stay at 168. Who do you want to see him fight?
I don't know. It's I mean, in the super middleweight division, you know, a really good boxing match would be Caleb Plant and Boo Boo. It would be quite sharp and articulate. Two very good boxers looking for ways to get in to score. I think Morrell is another young killer. We don't want to deal with that. Maybe Billy Joe Saunders if he comes back like he said he is.
What do you think about finally Jamal Charlo?
Well, I mean they could get it on too. That'd be a great fight.
Did you get a chance to like take a good look at how he was looking against Jose?
Yeah, I saw him. I mean he looked good for a 2-year layoff. He looked good.
Did you see any ring rust evident or not really?
I saw a couple of moments where I know Jamal would have scored with his vaunted uppercut that he uses so well, but he didn't because of the ring rust. But I know he has to get back on track. 2 years is a long time, and he didn't disappoint. He did what he was supposed to do. He boxed, loosened up. I know if he saw opportunities to get Jose out of there, he would have took advantage of it. There were some points where he was putting on some displays of some pretty punches. So
it's all good.
Back up just a little bit.
There we go. At this point, do you think Jamal can compete with David Benavidez right now?
I think he needs more fights to get back on track.
So I guess at this point, it'll probably end badly for him, you think, or?
You know, the Charlos are tough guys.
Yeah.
They've never been knocked out. Jamal is he's really a toughie. He's really a toughie. But he has to have all his weapons in place for a fight like that.
What are your thoughts on the rumors that Jaime Munguia is actually the front runner, quote unquote, to fight Canelo next? What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's horrible. I think it's hard. That's a cakewalk for Canelo.
Why is that? You just fought him with Sergey, actually.
Yes, that's a cakewalk for Canelo. He's just moving up to 168 also. So this will be his second fight at 168. And he has a whole lot of holes in his arsenal. So I think Canelo, that would be just a fodder fest for him.
So is it fair to say that the only fight for Canelo right now is David Benavidez?
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. I don't think he's going to do it, but that's really the fight he should have.
Why don't you think Canelo will take that fight right now?
Canelo is the king. and the king does what he wants to do.
True, but kings also get criticized also.
He doesn't care. He's going to the Hall of Fame already. What's stopping? There's nothing stopping him. He's done it all.
His competitive fire?
Floyd is in the Hall of Fame. His competitive fire was going about 5 years before he retired. But you got to respect what he did. At a certain point, you gotta give the greatness their chance to do as they wish.
Gotcha.
We might want to see them in different events, but it doesn't matter.
So, but in your opinion, does Canelo fight David Benavidez next year?
I don't know. That's a good question. Legacy-wise, he really doesn't have to. He's already in the Hall of Fame. They're just waiting to give him his ring. He's already there. For the fans, yes. For the fans, yes. And monetarily, he don't even care about it there because it doesn't matter.
Got it. Just my last thing, man. If you could kind of tell, obviously Boo Boo came up short, but what are some of the things that you want him to kind of go back to the gym, rectify, fix, and kind of work on going forward? He's 35, and that the sand in the hourglass is winding down.
I agree with you. Well, what I know we should have done more in the fight was jab, and we worked on the jab. But you have to work on it till you're so comfortably confident in it that you won't stop using it. And there were moments when he hesitated, when he was inside and he just stayed there. So we need to work on that. We need to work on the cut and shoot. Like you get there, you fire it, then you step around it. We need to work on that. So there's things we need to do, and hopefully we'll get it together.
Got it. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
You're very welcome, man. Let's go.